Say your name and something about yourself. Tell me 3 things about yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? These are things I think we've all been asked at least once in our lives. I mean, how many times has a teacher told you to say something about you or something you like to do because it's the start of a new year or they're just new? I always panicked when that happens, and I still do, to be honest, because what do I say? Do I say that I like watching TV shows? No, that's too boring. I mean, who doesn't like binge watching TV shows and getting lost in another world? Do I say that I like The Sims? No, the people might make fun of me, call me, and say that I'm not a real gamer, even though I play a lot of other games, so that one just happens to be one of my favorites. Also, for the record, you are a real gamer if you just play The Sims. I have just had many interactions with people that don't think so. I don't know what they were thinking, but sure. Do I say that I like making lists? No, that's really just too weird. Or do I say that I like reading? No, then people might think that I'm a nerd or a geek, which I am, but that is beside the point and does not have to be their first impression of me. When we're children, we are a lot more open with people, and we don't think as much about how other people see us or how we see ourselves. When I was a kid, I loved doing a lot of things, and I would have told you that without even thinking about it. I loved dancing, gymnastics. I know both are hard to believe now. I loved hanging out with my friends. I loved drawing. For a while, I was riding horses, and I was even playing the cello just a few years ago. But now I don't do none of those things. And you see, it's not that I don't want to tell people what I like to do. It's what that says about me now that makes me scared and anxious. Oh God. So I would have told you those things now without any issue. Or when I was a kid, I would have told you those things without any issue. But now, I'm scared to death. Also, when we were young, we try out a lot of different things, and we find ourselves, and that's just part of being young. But now, the time when we're this old, a lot of people think we should already know what we like. Have you ever heard someone say something about you, and you're just like, that's not true, or that's not me, or something like that? Well, most people probably have a different perception of you than you do yourself. And this is because, at least in my case, I'm pretty self-critical, and I can't hide all my sides from myself, but I can hide them from other people. I just told you when I was young, I was very open. But now that I'm 18, I can confidently say that I'm 100% myself with maybe 8 people in my life. Those being my family, my absolute best friend, and my therapist, because if I don't, what's even the point of having one? And I'm a different person at home, at school, online, at work, everywhere, because I like to show different sides of me. I think this is something that we all do, and even if we think we don't, because we do it subconsciously. When I told one of my best friends that I was doing this, she said, I'm a different person, or she said, I'm like myself with 98% of people I interact with. 100% herself with 98% of people she interacts with. And if that's true, that is amazing. I'm really, really happy for her, but I seriously doubt that's true. And to be honest, she's not even one of those 8 people I just mentioned, even though I still call her one of my best friends. So is she really always herself? We also like to mostly type subconsciously who we show ourselves, what we show ourselves. Like right now, a picture of who I am and what I'm like is forming inside your mind, if you didn't already know me, that is. But it's forming inside your mind. But is that really me? I don't think so. This also doesn't have to do with the fact that we hate ourselves, although that can play a part in it sometimes, but it's just who we are, and it's just what we do. For instance, I myself, I don't like myself most of the time. All the time. But I still don't try to be a totally different person when I'm in school or work or anything, because that's just not right. But I show different sides of myself. Also, I don't do this for other people. I do this for myself so that I feel more comfortable. Earlier, I mentioned that what I would say what I like to do. But what about when someone asks you your strengths and weaknesses? I think this is all something that we've been asked, maybe when we're doing a job interview or just in school or anything. When I had my first job interview a few years ago, they asked me this, and you would have thought that I would have been prepared to answer that, but no, I had no idea what to say. First of all, because I don't like thinking about what I'm good and bad at, especially good at, because I can tell you my weaknesses without any problem. Strengths are a little harder. But I ended up saying some things that worked for that particular job, and it did work because I did get it. But that was almost 2 years ago now, or it was over 2 years ago actually. And I wouldn't say those things now, I don't think. And when I have to say these things again, or when someone asked again my strengths and weaknesses just a few weeks ago for an application for a conference this summer, I said totally different things. And for that situation, those things worked because I did get in. So you see, when we do it in these situations, a lot of people think it's smart, it's calculated, it's the right thing to do. I think we all do this because in that situation it works. But when we do this in real life with people that we know, and with showing people our personality, a lot of people think it's bad, because why would you do that? Call it a defense mechanism if you want, but I seriously think it's how we survive. I mean, I would not feel comfortable at all if I was 100% myself right now, or if you knew everything about me, I would not feel comfortable with any of you. I'm sorry about that, but I think that's how everyone is. And also, we would be easy prey for serial killers, and that's not great. And I do watch too much true crime, and that might be a little bit of a bad influence when it comes to that. But just to show you how different our perception of ourselves versus other people's perception of us can be, I did a little experiment. If I were to describe myself, I would say that I'm an introvert, that I'm stubborn, sarcastic, a nerd and a geek, an overthinker, and a very anxious person. I then asked my friends, family, classmates, and even teachers how they would describe me. And I am so sorry if you were someone that I asked, because it was a very weird thing to ask people. My anxiety was out. It was not fun. I'm so sorry. Also, I would like to say that I did not do this for an ego boost or anything like that, because it was, again, very uncomfortable for me to ask. And also, none of the answers were terrible, but I don't agree with them, and I do not suggest doing this. It was not fun on any level. But this is what they said. As you can see, the classmates category is the biggest one, and that's just because I asked the most people there. And the teacher one is the smallest one because I asked the least amount of people there. And I decided to divide them up like this so you can see how the different people in my life think of me. If we then compare all of these words to what I would say myself, or to what I just said about myself, these are the same ones. So out of the 7 words I could come up with myself, and also I tried to think of more, those are the only 7 I could come up with for months, only 4 show up here. And with the exception of sarcastic, which, why did people say that? I don't know. But with the exception of sarcastic, they only show up once. So not only just once within each group, but only one person said that. Only one person said that I was stubborn. Only one person called me an introvert. And only one person said that I was anxious. And then there are some that I agree with. I can see them. If I would have thought more, I would have said them myself. These make sense. I don't disagree. Then there are some that I feel indifferent towards. These are things that I'm like, sure, I see it. I don't totally disagree, but I don't totally agree. These are things like, yeah, I could see it at some points. Then there are the ones that I don't agree with at all. Well, maybe a little, and we will get to that, but mostly I don't agree with them. And these are those ones. As you can see, they're only words from the teachers and classmates category. And that's because probably I shield myself off from those people the most. I try to put up a facade, I try to be a happy person. Because as you can see, all of them, I think, at least most of them, have to do with me being a social, happy, and positive person. Which I can sort of see because at school I tried to be a social and happy person. In reality, I'm not. I have pretty severe anxiety, social anxiety, and depression. And that's not just me saying that, that's actually diagnosed, and I see a therapist. I think that says it all. But I struggle sometimes just going to school and having to interact with people because it scares me so much. And I hate doing it. I hate talking to people. Being up here, not fun. I don't know why I agreed to this. But I don't understand some of these. I don't understand who would say that I'm an extrovert. Also, by the way, you saw before that someone said introvert. The reason why they said that was because in the room when I asked this, one person said extrovert, then one of my other friends was like, nope, introvert. So that's how that happened. But I don't see how they thought that. But all of this shows us that, or shows me, I guess, because it's about me, that there are a lot more words to describe me than I think, but also that we don't really think alike. But there are, however, some words that show up more than once between the groups. These are the ones. Also, I tried to have them in different colors, but I don't think all of them translated well to the projector, so I'm sorry about that. But these are, I mean, even though I wouldn't say these myself, I guess they must be true, because a lot of people said it throughout the different groups. And then I would also like to show my two favorite ones. The first one of my classmates said, and it's intense but soft. I have no idea what she meant by that, but thanks, I guess. It makes sense and I kind of see it, but thank you. The second one is from my absolute best friend, and since he said this, I have not been able to stop thinking about it because it's very true. And it's well-educated but has a huge lack of common sense. So I have common sense, don't worry. I am just not life smart. I am very clumsy. I don't know about basic things sometimes, but I am very well-educated, so I guess there's that. So I guess he had a point in that, and again, he probably knows me the best out of anyone, so it's not surprising that he would say that. But, so these are the things that he said, but some of you might think now, overthink things again, because I would not say these things about myself, and now you might be worried and said that, oh, well, if I were to ask people, what would they say? Don't worry about it. First of all, don't do it. Like I said before, don't do it. But also, don't worry about it, because it's not terrible. None of these things are terrible. I mean, they might have thought some things were terrible, but they didn't say them at least. And I would also like to believe that they don't think I'm very mean. Maybe I am, I don't know. Again, my humor might be broken, but at least they didn't say I was mean. But don't worry about it. And the next time someone asks you to say your name and something you like to do, or something about yourself, or strengths and weaknesses, don't overthink it. Because what you end up saying, and what you might think that those things will make them think about you, that was a sentence and a half, but what you think that those things will make other people think about you, probably is not even what they're going to end up thinking, because no matter what, we're going to have different perceptions of ourselves, and how other people see us. So just don't overthink yourself. That's all I have to say. Thank you.